Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to sit down and make this video because there's so many things happening, and I quickly got Roman and Callum and Linnea out of the house and off to the playground so that I would have time to put on just a little bit of makeup and I don't know, put a brush through my hair, which, well, whatever, and just be able to sit down and make this video because this is something that I've been wanting to do for a couple weeks now, basically ever since we got back from Berlin. As you guys can see, there are moving boxes behind me. There's a move happening. We're moving from London to Berlin, and it's happening quite soon. There are just so many things that I wanted to sit down and actually talk about, and it just takes up so much time. So I just wanted to sit down and actually put it all out on camera, and I think this will be quite good for myself as well to really get it out, if that makes sense. It's probably this time last year, really, it's been about a year that we've first started realizing that it probably wasn't going to be a permanent situation. We've loved living in London, and we've met the best friends here, people that we consider family, people that we have absolutely enjoyed sharing this phase of raising young children together with. It's very bittersweet, but the whole discussion of the move started really about a year ago, and we realized that things were moving in a direction for Roman career-wise that really wasn't what he wanted. Things for this or that reason, it just wasn't working out. And the conversation that we had about a year ago was one that I didn't really want to have. I wanted to stay here, which I think would make complete sense. I thought maybe if we purchased a home that we would feel some sort of stability here. But I knew that we both didn't really feel comfortable buying a home until things with Brexit became more clear for us. It also wouldn't have been the right decision to buy a home if the job situation wasn't right. So we stuck it out for a little while, and we just kind of left. We would leave the situation with just seeing what would happen and what would unfold, and more or less this opportunity for Roman to go to Germany, it fell into his lap. It happened so naturally and so organically easy that it almost felt silly to say no. So we had this option, this opportunity for him, and we also had our love affair with London, and the two were, as crazy as it may sound, the two were very, very, very equal, because we have Callum completely settled in school. We got this place for Callum knowing that Linnea would also go to the same school, so we were looking at living in this area for, I don't know, the next 8 years, and it was giving us a sense of stability, but not really, because we didn't own a home. There's always the threat of the landlord kicking you out to sell the property, which has happened to us, by the way. I would say it was probably August and September that I really started to come around. And to be honest, I think the conversation for me started to turn, and I started to really come around to going back to Germany when the kids went to Germany for Roman's cousin's wedding. I remember watching the video of Roman and the kids in Germany and seeing how the kids just came alive, how Callum and Linnea felt so happy being around their family. And then when Callum had his international day at school, and I went and I saw him just talking about Germany and German food, and just completely lit up talking about Mercedes and pretzels, and I felt like as much as I love living in London and as settled in some ways as we are, that perhaps the right thing for our family right now is to go back to Germany. And it just so happened that we learned that the job that Roman would be doing would be based in Berlin, and it felt like kind of like an answered prayer, because I did not want to go back to Stuttgart. I just didn't really feel like Stuttgart was me. I'm sure it's wonderful for many people, and I know lots of people that have moved there that absolutely love it. It wasn't the right fit for me. Interestingly enough, I remember Roman and we visited Berlin back in 2011, and I remember coming back from Berlin feeling very energized and really wishing that we would live in a city like Berlin. I mean, I grew up in New Orleans, and it's a city that's also very vibrant and cultural and colorful, and it's in me. It's just in my blood. It's just who I am. It's just, I have family in Chicago, and when we would go visit Chicago, I would somehow feel alive. And yeah, I needed that international big city feeling. I need that. I remember when we traveled to Berlin, I came back just loving Berlin and completely raving about it and just so excited about it. And I remember discussing that with friends from the area, from Stuttgart, and they were like, why would you ever want to live in Berlin? It's, you know, it's so gray and blah. And I remember just feeling like, wow, you know, that's what I love. That's, ouch. You know, I felt a little ouchy after that. So we moved to London, and everything was magical. I mean, this is truly the most magical city I've ever lived in. I have absolutely loved living in London. We have absolutely loved raising our kids here. We've had the greatest time walking along the Thames, and I can't begin to tell you how magical it's been and how amazing for me as their mom it's been to show them the world in this way, and not just traveling for a week, but really showing them the world. And I love that the kids have made friends from different races and cultures and ethnicities, and their friends all speak different languages, and yet they're all in this school speaking English together, and it's amazing to me. And I remember feeling in Stuttgart like, I mean, we lived in a smaller village, and I remember Callum was the only child that spoke a different language. He was the only child that had, you know, multiple citizenships and nationalities. And I remember feeling on the defensive quite a bit because people would question why I would speak English to my child when we live in Germany. And I just, yeah. So in comparison to here, it's been a very welcome change here to be able to know that my kids can speak English and German freely, that people are not going to care. London is so open, and it's really the nicest people live here. I've absolutely loved it. I've really loved it. And so now we're moving to Berlin. There are a lot of feelings that come with that. I just want to say, first off, I'm very excited about moving to Berlin. I loved it when I visited Berlin. I think my eyes have changed a bit since living here in London, and so Berlin, while living in Stuttgart, Berlin felt so big. Berlin feels quite small to me now, and right now it just feels very foreign to me. It doesn't feel like home yet, but I'm excited to go and to make it home. I'm excited to go and make memories. I think the part that I'm struggling immensely with, there are really two things that I'm struggling with. Oh, this is never easy to talk about. I think for me, I have loved when we lived in Germany. I obviously was learning German, and I never felt I never really felt like I was completely comfortable with life in Germany. I remember listening to people talk, and I remember thinking, now I know that's supposed to be a joke, but I don't know why it's funny. Like, I understand the literal part of the joke, like I understand it, but I don't get why it's funny. And I would ask people to translate it, and the general consensus or the general translation was usually, oh, you just can't translate it. It's just a joke. It's just like a German thing. And I remember having those kinds of situations a lot where I felt completely fine, you know, getting my prescriptions from the pharmacy. I felt completely fine having, talk with the moms and the baby groups, and I felt fine, going and having coffee and doing days out with moms in the play groups, but I never felt like, so there's like some disconnect, I guess is what I'm saying. There's a strong disconnect with my heart and everything that was happening because I was thinking too much. Like I was thinking in German too much. As we're here, English is obviously my native language. It's very natural. It's very natural and easy to make friends and to laugh at the same jokes because we're all sharing this common language. And while there are, of course, differences and cultural differences and even language differences, it's kind of something that we all laugh about, as where in Germany, I spent so much time thinking about the language and thinking about what to say and thinking about what I'm hearing, that actually connecting with my heart was something I never really did. So what that meant was I didn't really put a focus on making friends because I just didn't have that heart connect. And what it meant was I felt very emotionally alone, that I could be in a room full of people, but I felt so alone. And oh man, to think about going back to that, knowing what I know, is difficult. It's very difficult because I've absolutely loved having a group of friends that feel like family, that feel like sisters, that I'm so sad to think about leaving that because it's become my lifeline, living away from my own blood family. That's probably part of it too, is that I miss my family immensely. And in all fairness, that's something that has actually bothered me living here, is because I know that we have friends who have their parents come every week and their kids get to see the grandparents every week, and they'll go and they'll spend a long weekend. And so I think on the other hand, I'm also looking forward to hopping on a train and spending a long weekend in Stuttgart. Being close to family is important, and being close to Roman's family, which is also my family, the kids' family, it's important because we're not any closer to my side of the family. And so while we've had this amazing community here, at the end of the day, everyone celebrates their holidays with their family, and we've been here. Living in Berlin will get us there or allow us to be part of more family functions, because right now we're really not a part of anything. And we haven't really been able to. We haven't been able to fly back as much as we had wanted, and it just hadn't worked out in that regard. So I see a real trade-off. We've had wonderful friends here that feel like family, but we have family in Germany. It's really up and down. What I have loved is just having these friends that speak to my heart, that connect with me in a way that I hadn't really had since leaving the States. I've had really good friends in Germany. I have really good friends in Germany, and some are native English speakers, and I've noticed that we kind of like clung together because we were really the only ones that understood what this life was like, and we understood how hard it was. And even though we have these great friends here, nobody gets it. Nobody understands that our lives are divided into 3 countries. The life that we're living, our day-to-day life, America and Germany, and like nobody understood what that means because they themselves have not experienced it or lived it. What's also difficult for me, aside from leaving the people, is we are leaving an incredible school community that has been so amazing for Callum. I mean, he's learning how to read, he's happy, he's thriving, he's growing. I'm really sad about leaving the school that he's in because we've become so connected with the other parents and the other children, and it breaks my heart a little bit to know that we have to pull him out of that and put him somewhere else. For me, for purely selfish reasons, I will miss having the confidence to be able to be the room mother or the classroom representative and attending the school meetings and really being able to speak my mind. And again, just doing it naturally without having to think about what I'm saying. It's hard because I know I can do those things in Germany too, but it's going to be very different. It's just very different because here I feel like I've really gotten to know the system, and I'll have to learn the system in Germany. What's also very difficult for me is I have loved being able to speak English, and I guess a part of me feels like I moved back home in a sense because, as I said earlier, things are so similar here between the UK and the US. I'm moving back to Germany, and it was challenging for me. It wasn't impossible, and I did it, but it was not without a lot of tears and frustration and confusion and anger, homesickness. And so to know that I'm doing that again to myself again is I don't know, it's scary. I don't want my kids to see my frustration or hear my confusion. I want to be as confident as their mom there as I have been here. But a lot of it is going to be putting up a strong face for my kids because I'm actually quite terrified. I know, however, though, that this is the right move for us. I think it will be an amazing opportunity for the kids to live in their home country, in the country that they were born in. And I'm excited for them to go and really establish friends in German. I'm really excited about that for them. I think they're going to be fine. Linnea, she's never been in school. She's never been in nursery or anything. So no matter what, whether we stay here or move to Germany, the change will all be new for her. As far as Callum, the time is right for him. He'll be able to go and have another year of kindergarten. It will probably be a little bit different for Callum because he's had a bit more structure with going to reception here, but I don't think that's a bad thing for him to have more flexibility and free time. He is only 5. I'm also hopeful because now this provides a really good place for me to start my company. I'm hoping this is a really good thing for Roman's career, and I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. And I think it's funny because I get these moments of real sadness about leaving, but I'm, at the end of the day, a very hopeful, optimistic person, and I am strong. And these fears that I have are my own fears, and they are things that I will have to work through once I move there. And I know that change is huge. I have found that in big life transitions that if I go into a situation really negative, then the whole family thinks of things negatively. I found that if I go into big transitions optimistically and feel very excited about the move and the transition and focus on that, then the whole family tends to go in that direction. And it's a real hard thing because when I moved the first time, I didn't have kids, I wasn't married, I didn't have that responsibility of my emotions to another person. And this time around, I am very much so responsible for how I handle my emotions, and I am responsible for my children. I mean, I was of course responsible for my reactions to things, but my reactions to emotions, they didn't have the consequences that they do now that I'm a mom. And I'm responsible for making sure that my kids transition peacefully. I think it will be really good. I wouldn't have agreed to move. I would have said no and put my foot down if I didn't feel that this was right. But I know in my gut that this is right. It just hurts to say goodbye. I don't know if I will ever not miss London. I don't know if I will ever find the kind of friends that I have found here. I don't know, but we have to try. And I have to give it a fair shot. I have to recognize that moving to Stuttgart 9 years ago is a much different situation than moving to Berlin this year. And I also have to recognize that I am a different person when I moved to Stuttgart 9 years ago than I am today. I have developed a way of life that doesn't rely on a lot of people. So I think if anybody can handle the ups and downs of moving to a different country, the ups and downs of language barriers and all of it, I know I can handle it. I know I can. It will just be painful. I mean, it will be hard. It will be really, really, really hard again. And it's kind of like this feeling of leaving, you know, would I have left the US 9 years ago knowing how hard it would be emotionally on me? I want to say yes, that I would still do it because I gained so much from that. Of course, I mean, I married Roman and our kids, and I've lived in amazing places, but there's a part of me that questions, would I really? Because it was really hard, and I'm basically doing it all over again. It feels a lot like I'm leaving the US for the second time, that these friends that we've made, they feel like our family, that I'm leaving my family again. And I'm willingly putting myself into a place where I have to go back and think about everything that I say. Do I use du or sie with a person, or I don't get that joke, or the red tape of living in Germany? It is overwhelming. It is overwhelming. So yeah, I really, at this point, I go back and forth a lot. This move is happening. It is imminent, and it is happening, and I really do go back and forth a lot with my emotions, and I have really good days where I feel really excited about the new changes and what's to come. I do want to say thank you to all of you who have watched this and have sent so many really nice, kind messages. This move is hard. This is really hard for me. I am struggling with this. So your positivity, it makes me, it doesn't go unnoticed, is what I want you to know. And I read it, and I'm thankful for it because it keeps me going. It really does. I'm gonna end this video. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for so long. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. This is all happening. So I'll see you guys in my next video.